Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, it's uh, episode 8, Thor the Dark World of MCU Sunday Discussions, or Infinity Saga Sundays. And we're still waiting on another, Riot Kitty. And we have a video from Ambassador because he can't make it tonight. So, before we get in with the chat, we're going to say hello to the chat, which is so far Vanya and Skyhound and Nerd with the Cigar, who is with us tonight. She is also going to be joining the Hat Crew going forward. So, how you doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
All righty. Now, Thor: The Dark World. I just watched this earlier this morning. It is not the best movie, I will friggin' state. However, I can still find enjoyment out of it. So before we do, I do want to get the talking points up on my laptop here, because I forgot to do that. Also, while we wait for Riot, because she's late. Hopefully there's nothing wrong. I'm going to get the talking points up, and then before we get that going, we have Ambassador doing a video. So he did a video for this stream that he wanted us to see. So we're going to play that. And we'll let him give his thoughts on Thor: The Dark World. So let's share the audio. Hopefully you all will be able to see this clearly. I apologize if you can't. Okay, there we go. Has it come up yet? On my side, it hasn't. Ah, there it is. Okay. So here we go, folks. This is Ambassadors from his editorial on Thor: The Dark World. It's going to be 9 minutes, 45 seconds. So here we go.
Hey, Orange Hat. Hey, cast and crew, and Hat crew, and to everybody in chat. Hope you all having a good night. And sorry I can't be there this evening or anything. Of course, I've got my review over on my.
Oh, we're getting a little buffer. Sorry about that, folks. Let's see if I can knock out the buffer, because usually I'm very good or able to do that. There, this should prevent any further buffering.
There you go. Great
Ambassadorial wing, for those of you who aren't aware. But I wanted to take a few minutes and share my thoughts on Thor: The Dark World and everything, so that while I can't be there in person, I can be there this way. So anyway, I'll try and keep this brief. I'll try and keep it to the point and everything, so that y'all can get back to the discussion. But we'll get right to it. Thor: The Dark World was actually the second film in the MCU that I got to see in theaters, because I pretty much missed out on Phase 1, including the first Avengers movie. But during a Thanksgiving break, while I was in seminary, Thor: The Dark World was in theaters. And I was like, you know what? Really loved this Avengers movie that I just saw. And I was like, I'm going to go see this. And at the time, I was originally going to make it take in 2 movies that day or during that break. One was going to be, of course, this, and the other one was going to be Ender's Game. But unfortunately, Ender's Game left theaters before I got a chance to see it. I ended up going to see another little movie called Hunger Games: Catching Fire, which that's another review for another time. But to put it briefly, I loved Hunger Games. But as for Thor: The Dark World, I have watched this movie several times now, and I don't dislike this movie, but I do find there are parts of it that are seriously lacking. And it's not so much in terms of the visuals or anything in terms of production. It has more to do with the story, because I feel like there was a lot left out of this movie that could have been added in, that would have made the relationships a lot richer and a lot more in depth. Particularly the relationship between Thor and Loki, the relationship between Loki, Thor, and Frigga, and of course, well, the entire family itself and everything, including Odin. Um, that being said, the performances were still on point. I mean, Anthony Hopkins, that man, I don't think has ever turned in a bad performance in any movie ever. Even movies that I'm like, why the hell are you in this, Sir Anthony Hopkins? Seriously. But and I'll say this as well. Granted, he only had a limited amount of screen time, but Chris Eggleston, Chris Eccleston, who was well known before this for his turn as the Doctor in Doctor Who, when it got revitalized and rebooted and everything in the early 2000s. He turned in a very solid performance here as Malekith. And I thought the design for Malekith was well in keeping with what he looked like in the comics and everything. Not exact adaptation, but still faithful enough to what the character looked like. But I will say, for Eccleston's performance, very much enjoyed. I think of a villain that maybe deserved a little more story time or a little more screen time, or maybe a little more character development, but all the same, a very solid villain. The story itself is relatively straightforward, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. And it's a well-rounded story, but like I said, it lacked development in certain key areas. And I think if this movie had been given a longer runtime and had been more the character development and the character storylines had been a little more streamlined, or maybe a few more cuts here and there with other scenes that weren't as necessary, we would have gotten more. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I wanted more time with Loki and Thor. I wanted more time with Frigga and Loki. I wanted more time with Odin and Thor, and I even wanted more time with Thor and Jane. And everything, Natalie Portman's character, Jane Foster. In terms of the comedic relief, Darcy, played by Kat Dennings, I will always like Kat Dennings in her part and everything in these movies, particularly the first two Thors, and of course in WandaVision. Darcy is one of those side characters that you always wish you got more of, but at the same time, you don't want to oversaturate a movie with her. Stellan Skarsgård's character is a little more comedic in this movie, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the way they explain it, he's still recovering from his ordeal with Loki taking over his mind. And I will admit, seeing him censored, running around Stark Mother naked around Stonehenge, it was comical. And I think it was still good, well balanced humor and everything in that particular aspect. If I had to point out a couple of my favorite scenes, I would have to say, and this is actually a deleted scene. It's the scene where Frigga is in his cell, the cell with Loki. But when you see Loki break the illusion, or break the magic projection, and then you see from the other end, you see Frigga in her room and everything, and Thor comes in and he's like, "Do you really still believe he's worth redeeming?" And she's like, "Yes." And Thor asks, "Do you regret teaching him your magic?" And she's like, "No, because he deserved to have his own thing, because you and your father cast very long shadows, and I wanted him to have some time in the sun." I think that honestly was a great piece of character building. I think it was honestly a very well acted scene. And I honestly wish it had been left in the final cut of the film, but at the same time, I understand, for time and so on, it wasn't. I would have to say my other favorite scene has to be, and this might be on everybody's list on the panel and maybe in the chat even, is the fight scene at the end between Thor and Malekith, because that is a very unconventional fight scene. I mean, it's one of the more it's somewhat effects heavy, but at the same time, it's very clever because here's the thing: you don't think that a object like Mjolnir, or as Darcy calls it so affectionately, Mjolnir, seeing it zip back and forth as Thor and Malekith shift from Earth to Svartalheim, which is the name of the Dark Elves' home world or home realm, wouldn't be so comical. But at the same time, you almost get the feeling that Mjolnir's like, okay, come on, guys, make up your damn mind, please. I would say one of my other favorite scenes, of course, is the prologue scene with Anthony Hopkins and the voiceover. You see his father, King Bor, and I don't know offhand who plays King Bor in this movie. I didn't have a chance to do a whole lot of research. I got a chance to watch the movie, watch the features and everything, but I will say he did a very solid job. Just a few final closing thoughts, of course. Rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. He makes an appearance, obviously, in this as Volstagg, and he will be deeply, deeply missed. And I am still kind of on the fence when I'm going to watch Ahsoka, but I think to see maybe a very talented actor's last performance, maybe I will. But to give this a final score, I would have to give this, and this is me being very generous and being a little more understanding maybe than most, I would have to give Thor: The Dark World maybe a 7.5 out of 10. I think this movie needed more runtime. I think it needed more time to develop the characters and the plot lines, but particularly the character development was a bit lacking here. But for what was there, was very good. So, but guys, I look forward to seeing you all next week, obviously, for Captain America: The Winter Soldier. You all have a great night, and I will see you then. And until then, stay ambassadorial.
Well put. I like that.
And alrighty, yes, that is indeed well put. I also put the link in the chat to that video. I just looked up who plays Tony Curran in Thor: The Dark World, or who plays Bor in Thor: The Dark World, and it turns out Tony Curran is credited as Bor in Thor: The Dark World, which is I did not expect that. I don't think that. I mean, let's look at Bor in. Let's see here. He played Bor. Well, they definitely changed his voice. But yeah, apparently he did. Son of a bitch. So let me share to basically show the proof of this. It was Tony Curran. So yeah, folks, here you go. Tony Curran played Bor. Yeah. It's Tony Curran. I wonder who did the voice for him.
I recognize recognize the nose. He has a very that
Yeah.
now that I see it side by side, his helmet kind of obscures most of his face, but I see it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I do kind of see it now too. So that would be the second or like third or fourth movie that he's played in Norseman, a Scotsman playing a Norseman. He's played a Norseman in a Beowulf film with Gerard Butler, and oh my gosh, she's finally here.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Time.
Yeah, you lost track of time.
Yeah, I was
Don't
dealing
worry,
with something.
I'll spray you with a squirt bottle later. So how you doing?
I'm doing okay, I guess. It seems like we're dealing with a runaway pet situation, so it's,
Oh, my condolences.
yeah. So I hope
For the
I hope he's
situation.
all right. So
Me
he's
too.
a good pupper.
Yep. So we just got done watching the Ambassador's review. He gave us a video review to check out for him, and we are just now starting to get into the review ourselves. So
Okay.
yeah, we're just starting.
All right.
So the movie starts with the prologue with the Aether and the war with the Dark Elves on Svartalfheim. And it shows the Dark Elf, or with Odin's narration. And we see the cursed warriors and how the Aether, which is an infinity stone, but it's more of a sludge, gets Nerd, do you have headphones on?
Yeah, it sounds like there's an echo.
Oh, okay. Let me fix it.
All
Give
right.
me just a second. Let me mute myself, and then I'll fix it.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Excuse me. And so this film, the Aether gets ripped away from him. So he literally lays waste to almost all of his freaking army just to try to kill the Asgardians for taking away his sludge. And I gotta say, this sequence was good. Honestly, I thought Mark Strong was Malekith, not Chris Eccleston. So it's like, well, now it makes a little bit more sense. But I do got to say that I really did enjoy this opening, especially with when King Bor, who is Odin's father. So Odin is known as not just Odin Allfather, but Odin Borson. And unbeknownst to everybody else, Odin also has a brother who's currently imprisoned. I don't think they'll ever bring him into the MCU. But yes, his brother is known as the Serpent, known as Cole Borson.
Snake.
Yep, he is he's the main antagonist of the Fear Itself comic arc, where they had the Worthy and his warriors who tried to overthrow Asgard. So yeah, seeing the father of Odin played by Tony Curran, but not voiced by him. I'm actually gonna have to look that up. We'll start with Riot. What did you think of the opening scene?
Well, it was definitely very, very dramatic. So I guess it tries to do a good job of setting up the main conflict of this film. And yeah, that's kind of weird that it's played by an actor and then voiced by a different actor, which is interesting for a live action movie, I guess. So
they're not crediting a voice for Bor, so I'm guessing they altered Tony Curran's voice for it.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yep. But yeah, they did a good job setting it up, and let me say hello to the chat again because we got more people arriving. Hello, Christian. I feel we treated this film too harshly before Captain Marvel. Yeah. I honestly never had a problem with this film, to be 100% completely honest. Looking at it from a review standpoint, however, yes, there are many different flaws. I like how the Dark Elves have their own language. Yep. The Elven language of Svartalfais, or Svartal Nice, I guess. I don't know. But seeing the Cursed and then seeing Adewale, Adewale, he plays Allgrim, the Black Elf. I can't fucking say his name. For to cast. Let's see here. Load the rest of them. Adewale Akinui Agbajdu.
That is a mouthful.
Very much, or Agbaji, not Agbajdu, Agbaji. Yes, very much a mouthful. And he's a British actor. So yeah. Also, yes, rip to Ray Stevenson, who played Volstagg in this film. And we lost.
R.I.P. Yep.
Oh,
And we also R.I.P. Nerd with a Scar.
I'm back.
and she's back as the Great White Nipple.
I'll fix it. Give me a second, but
Yeah,
I'm back.
yeah.
The audio is fixed.
There we go. So, we have, or what did you think of the opening sequence, Kate?
I enjoyed it. I'm not a huge fan of just outwardly being told a story, like having narration or reading. I'm usually kind of opposed to that. I'd rather be shown something. And I actually really enjoyed this scene. And when I saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, I was reminded of this opening scene. You know, when they had their big battle scene in Justice League. I was reminded of the scene. I really liked seeing the history. It did a
Oh,
good
the one with
opening.
like Darkseid and the Green Lanterns
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
It reminded me of it was kind of a more fleshed out version of that with obviously different characters, but I thought it was good. I'm like a huge like history buff, and obviously I'm a nerd with a cigar, but I like that sort of stuff. If they had fleshed out a little bit more of that in the beginning, that would have been nice. A little bit more of, hey, why exactly, you know. I would have liked to gotten more of the Dark Elves, but overall I enjoyed that opening sequence. It definitely told the audience, hey, we're going to have a different tone in this movie than the previous Thor. Obviously, with the title Dark World, you're going to get a little bit of, you should expect something darker than the first movie. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a good introduction to the story and what they were trying to put across.
They really do go dark in this one, and I'm not just, or pun intended on this, meaning not just them trying to bring darkness into the universe, but also in the events of the film. I mean, Renee Russell in this film, Queen Frigga, she gets killed in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh no, the fuck you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw this in theaters, I'm like, you didn't just kill her. Please tell me she's gonna fade away into one of those illusions. Nope, she didn't, or her character got killed. And it really is heartbreaking because you see her kicking ass in that very same scene. And I really do like her fighting style.
Mm-hmm.
With how
Same.
she handles the sword. I mean, the way that she's spinning around and she's like fucking
secretly
Yoda.
a badass. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like Yoda without being a midget.
Right.
But yeah. Also, I really wish they had revealed where the ether was hidden specifically. Like, besides in a cave cavern.
Yeah, it just kind of looked like a random room in the back rooms or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Back
like,
rooms of
where the hell is
dimensions.
this? Bury it deep, somewhere where no one will ever find it. Okay, but where?
Define where that is, please.
Exactly. I wish that they
Define how
had,
deep of a hole this is in.
right?
Right.
So,
Kidding.
It's like, is
Then-
this Nowhere's butthole, or what is this? Like,
I know,
please.
Yeah.
right? Because
The
we've
butthole of the
seen,
dimension. The
we'll
dimensional
see
butthole.
we'll see Nowhere's head, but we never see the rest of the body.
Right.
So then we get to Loki's sentencing, and I gotta say, the scene where Odin is being such an ass to Loki, but brutally an ass in such the best way, because he's like, it is my birthright. Your birthright was to die as a child, cast out on a frozen rock. And I'm like, Loki
Anthony
held his
Hopkins,
own.
Yeah.
Loki
Anthony
held his
Hopkins
own.
is awesome. Yeah. And
Yes, he
did.
is.
Yeah.
He held his own up to that point where he lost his temper with Odin, because he's like, if I'm for the axe, just for mercy's sake, just swing it, you know. And he also tells him, we live, we fought, or we're not gods. We're born, we live, we die, give or take 5,000 years.
Mhm.
And I really like how the only reason why he's still alive, Frigga is the only reason he's still alive, and you'll never see her again. Yeah, you really think Frigga's gonna? She always did kind of value Loki, because Ambassador points it out, there is the deleted scene, which I absolutely loved myself, because it shows that she still does care for him, even though Loki and or even though Thor and Odin have completely discarded him completely now. But yeah, what did your guys think of Loki's sentencing? Start with Riot.
Well, it definitely felt like a dad talking to his disowned son. He's just like kind of an ass, as Orange said. So yeah, and they're definitely being very, very harsh with him for understandable reasons. So
Yeah, I thought this was great because I was, forgive me, I don't remember the timeline after the first Avengers. I'm not sure if this was the first or second movie that came out after Avengers, but Loki was, I think, the first villain that we got actually fleshed out through more than just one film. And so after the events of Avengers, you're like, okay, what's going to happen to this dude? He kind of just like messed up all of New York and, sent an alien force on everybody, and let's see what his dad's gonna do. And so I think Anthony Hopkins did a great job of playing Odin as always, and he's just fantastic in everything he does. But
Yes, he is.
that back and forth, I think the core of this movie is the family relationship, and so all of these scenes between Odin and Loki, or Thor and Loki, or Frigga and Loki, I think are really spectacular, and I'd like more of them. But yeah, it was a fun scene. You got to see Tom be in his element as Loki, and it was just, he's phenomenal, and you can tell he has fun with it. And Loki was exactly how you thought that he was going to be after completely, destroying a city. And he's just like, what do you mean? Like, this is my birthright. Like, it wasn't in a truly narcissistic way. He didn't understand like the depth of what he did wrong.
Yeah.
And it was a good scene. I liked it.
And then we get to Vanaheim, where we see the Warriors 3, Fandral, Hogan and Volstagg, played by Ray Stevenson, R.I.P. And Fandral has been recast with the original actor in mind, which was Shazam actor, I forget his name.
Zachary
Levi.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Zachary Levi, yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I like the other guy better. I mean, the other guy, John Dallas, I can't remember his name. He came across more as a swashbuckler with his facial hair. he had the kind of Robin Hoodish look, you know?
Yeah.
So they originally wanted Zachary Levi, but honestly, I like the other guy better. I feel that Zach Levi forced the role a little bit too much, especially when they're in Vanaheim, or not Vanaheim, but they're in Valhalla, the mead hall of heroes.
So that
Where
could they
he's
just not get Josh Dallas back because he was in like Once Upon a Time or something, or like?
I think
what?
so.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
so. And it's like when Zach Levi is laughing at Volstagg, I'm thinking to myself, dude, did they stick a rod up your ass to get you to laugh or something? What's going on here? Because it's just odd. But anyway, the scene on Vanaheim, they're getting their asses kicked until Thor arrives, and then we get this Korg-looking character from Thor Ragnarok. I'm dreading that review when it comes up, folks. We get this bigger version of Korg. I think they call him a Korganite or something like that, or Corbinite or whatever. And he's like, I accept your surrender. And then he just shatters the shit out of this rock dude. And I'm thinking to myself, y'all might want to just put down your weapons. I'm thinking that in the theater, and then he's saying, while he's saying anybody else, they all put their freaking weapons down, and I'm like, I don't like that that's that predictable.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, he's Thor, right? So
Yeah.
it's like,
God of Thunder. But I do like that you also learn a bit more in this. It's expanding Hogan's background. He's not Asgardian. He's from Vanaheim. And you also see that the Bifrost is indeed repaired. And you see just how good Heimdall's hearing is. Heimdall, when you're ready, boom. And we get a new theme for Thor 2, The Dark World. And I like this theme almost as much as I like the themes from the original Thor. What did you guys think of the music for this film?
I think the music is pretty good. It tells like
It's very
it does what it
adventurous.
needs to do.
Mhm.
I think probably the best were like the dramatic stuff, like when Free is killed or something, like or whatever. And then you've got like your intense ones, and so it's definitely like with a sense of foreboding in the music, and I think that job is really well done.
Yeah.
I think it was good. They, like Riot Kitty just hit the nail on the head. It served its purpose. It did exactly what it needed to do. The whole movie just felt a little different. We got a new director and there's a new feel to it.
Oh yeah.
Thor had been kind of fleshed out in Avengers, not fully, but we got more of his character. So the feel was different. So obviously the music was going to be a little bit different, but I liked it. And even in Ragnarok, we get that music when, for Freya's funeral coming back, when they're doing that little like play and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, the music was banging. Like it was like, I liked it. I mean,
It's Brian Tyler who did did Thor 2. Thor 1 is, I believe, Patrick Doyle. Yep, Patrick Doyle.
Mm.
So you could definitely tell there's definitely a difference in the style.
For sure.
But they do still, one of the things I do like is that they do keep with the percussion very well, where you have the drums in the Asgardian themes, which is something that they did very well, except for the softer tones, which was like Frigga's funeral and the other scenes. Now, we then get back to Asgard. As he returns to Asgard, we get the adventurous theme, and we see ravens, not crows, but ravens, which are Hugin and Munin. And I do like how they actually brought them in, because it does show you that they are paying tribute to the Norse mythology as best as they can. Hugin and Munin, the ravens, are the messengers of Odin, as well as the watchful eyes of Odin. When he needs something seen on Midgard or of the other realms, he sends Hugin and Munin. And that's pretty cool in itself. So then he is praising Thor, but also kind of chastising him about his distracted heart and confused heart. This isn't about Jane Foster. Human life is fleeting. They're nothing. He's very discarding of human life, which in the first movie, he is actually very reverent of humans. He actually says once mankind accepted a simple truth that they were not alone in the universe, and how he shows that he was or during his time as king, he would always stand with humanity. In this film, I feel that they directed him in a way that he was more discarding of humans because his son is too taken with humanity. So he's trying to create that distance a little bit. I mean, he literally refers to or equates Jane as a goat in this fucking film. And I'm like, oof, that's gotta hurt.
Which is weird because he sent Thor to Earth as punishment for being like an arrogant little butthole, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Thor goes to Earth, meets Jane, and it's because of his love for Jane and his friends that makes him humble enough to like sacrifice himself in the first movie. So you'd think as a father, if you saw, hey, these humans helped my son learn humility, you'd think he'd like them more, you know, because
Yep.
they were the ones that kind of helped him become worthy again to bear the hammer, you know what I mean? So it is strange, and I'm not sure, like, they could have just tweaked the dialogue very little for him to say, like, hey, maybe you should be with somebody who's long term so you don't get your heart broken in, like, 50 years when she dies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
kind of.
they
Yeah.
could have just tweaked the dialogue ever so slightly, with him still pushing him toward Sif, which he does get with Sif in the comics
Oh yeah.
at one point. So it's just, you know what I mean? They could have just tweaked it just ever so slightly for him to just be like, hey, I don't want your heart broken in a very short amount of time. Why don't you look more homewards, and kept it in that father-son relationship. But yeah, it did kind of put a damper.
He
Yeah,
does,
he does kind of seem a little bit too mean for the
Yeah,
with
he's
what
very
happened in the
blunt.
first Thor movie.
Right.
He is blunt about it. He's like, human life is fleeting, meaning in a blink of an eye, they're going to be gone to us. So don't get
and
too
he
attached.
continues his like dickery when Jane comes to, and we'll talk about this, when you get to it,
Yeah.
but when Jane comes to Asgard, he continues being an asshole. So it's not just like this one scene.
Yeah, I mean, he tells him, look what you have in front of you. And you see Lady Sif training with the others, with the Ironjar, which are Odin's elite. And she then looks up to kind of almost looking up to see what's going on. But she also does really like Thor. I mean, it is very clear in a later scene. I mean, there is after there's the celebration scene in Valhalla, in where she talks with Thor, and yet every time he moves, where he goes here, she's literally staying in front of him. That is a visual cue of body language that is saying, I want to be yours. Thor's not picking up, or Thor understands this. He's not having it. I mean, she is literally trying to stay in front of him as she's saying, there are 9 realms. You need to focus on more than just one. And surely there's no more task for you tonight. Well, this is one I give to myself. And she's jealous of Jane, which you see later. And I really do like that because it does show that she is really taken with Thor. However, there's nothing else that comes of it because Jamie Alexander was doing a blind spot for when Thor Thor Ragnarok came out, So, what did you all think of the relationship between Sif and Thor?
I wanted to see more of Sif and the Warriors 3, to be honest. Especially because the whole movie, well, not the whole movie, but a large portion of the movie is in Asgard. And unlike the first Thor, where Thor is on Earth, we get, kind of like the role reversal, and we almost get this, like, would have been a love triangle story, not quite fleshed out, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I would have liked to see more of a flesh out of Lady Sif's character with, or at least her relationship with Thor, because she probably grew up thinking that they were like going to be betrothed. Like in their culture, she grew up fighting with him. They're from the same place. Like I would have liked to see maybe more of a flesh out of like, okay, if she's jealous of Jane, why is that? Like I would like to have seen more of a relationship between Thor and Sif, and maybe not flashbacks, but like a dive into them to get you know what I mean, like them having
yeah,
more of a
definitely.
bond, because like you
Yeah.
said, all of the scenes that we get, she's just putting herself, she's kind of not throwing herself at him, but putting herself in a situation, or putting herself in a position where he would see her and
Yeah.
choose her, and he doesn't. So I would have liked to see more of their like relationship background dynamic of, okay, why is she coming across that way? Because now she just seems like, well, he went to Earth and he got a human girlfriend, and now I'm mad. It just didn't. It wasn't as fleshed out as I would have liked, and they only probably needed to add like maybe 1 or 2 scenes of them in order to do that. So kind of, going back to what Ambassador said, just a little bit more screen time to flesh out these characters, that it would have made it a little bit better.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely missing like that kind of conclusion. Like it's kind of like starting in the middle of like that love triangle thing, and then it just doesn't finish.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I agree with Nervous Scar. I would have liked to see more of that. At least like that plot line concluded a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he does definitely make the decision to be with Jane at the end of the film, specifically the post-credit scene. But they should have actually made it a definitive in the main main meat of the movie. They should have actually put that scene at the end of the movie after he says that, or after it's revealed that Loki is indeed Odin. Spoilers. But it should have showed him coming back, and then cut there where and then do the post credit or end credit where you see the snow dog or the Jotun pop running around trying to get the birds. Whatever happened to that dog? But so then we see him, or let's see here, Jane's date with this plain as hell guy. And then Darcy interrupts, thank God. And while this guy is plain as hell, I do like that he's a gentleman, because he's like, Jane, why don't you stop saying Seabass to go after your friend? And she's like, this is so fun. And I'm like, don't lie to him. I mean, he's being a gentleman. The least you could do is try to let him down nicely,
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it
I
was
also
like the
do-
best worst first date, you know what I mean? Like,
Right?
if that makes sense.
And Darcy's interruption. Hi, can we have some wine? Sure, I'd love some. A lot of people give Kat Dennings shit. Kat Dennings as a comedy or comedic character really works in this film.
Yeah.
Her intern plays off of her pretty well. But I really do. It's like our friend Eric, he kind of went banana balls. And it's like, what is going on with Eric, and why is he going banana balls? So we find out he's at Stonehenge riding one of his instruments like a broom, running around stark naked. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, Loki really fucked you up.
Yeah, it's just like I think the dialogue was like, is that your friend? You said it was Eric something.
Yeah, what was his last name?
It's just like him like going around, yeah.
And I love the look on her face when she sees this. She's like, she's like, oh, she just wants to cry because she's like, now I'm ashamed that I'm this man's friend. And I really do love that too, because it's like, oh my God, this dude has literally lost his or went bonkers because of Loki, which plays later in such a great way. And we then see floating vehicles and portals, and Jane finds the Aether. Now, one of the things that I do like is that they establish certain rules with the convergence, where there's gravitational anomalies and then there's the portal issues. And how some things, sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. And then the dumbass Ian throws in the car keys. And I'm thinking to myself, throw something that you don't need.
Like
did
a
not
can,
make
I don't
Something
know.
you do. I know, right?
Like
And
even
it's
a
what-
shoe. Like
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
even
I mean,
Darcy says,
like,
"Give me your
Give
shoe."
me your shoe. Give me your shoe.
Like you don't have a quarter in your pocket or something. Like a lighter, maybe.
And I love freaking Thor when they find that cave. Why are there so many shoes in here?
Mhm.
Yeah, so many people try to do shoes.
Yeah, it's like, what the frig?
I did like the more lighthearted Thor. Like his scenes, you can definitely see the character development from
Yeah.
Thor to Avengers to this one. So like this one, we get a more like mellow Thor, and I just
Mhm.
like that throughout the film. Is like he only gets emotional when he needs to because he understands. Yeah,
Also, definitely a more jaded Thor, especially with Loki. It's
Yeah.
just like, I gave up.
Yeah.
I completely gave
Yeah.
up on you.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and totally understandable because. I mean, after the events of Avengers, you're like,
Yeah.
come on, man.
He's more, well, let's just say that he's more balanced in this case.
For sure.
In the first movie, he's warmongering until he learns humility. In the Avengers, he is back to warmongering, but he still has his humility. He puts
He's
it
only
on
on
the
a
back
one-track
burner.
mind in
Yeah.
Avengers. It's like he has a purpose to
Yeah.
get Loki back home. He's not
And-
like, let me invade a whole,
Yeah. Then he has to basically bring peace to the Nine Realms because the Bifrost was destroyed. And during that time, he has learned to balance his humility and his war, or his warring, his combat, which I do like in this movie because there is the lightheartedness, and then there's the, if you betray me, I will kill you. And I absolutely love that line in this film when it comes to it. So then we see that Thor goes to Heimdall, whose voice they still augmented in this film. They actually still deepened down his voice a little bit. Later on in Ragnarok and Avengers Infinity War, they stopped doing that to his voice, as well as Avengers Age of Ultron.
It's like, keep it consistent,
I know. But
yeah,
I do.
I mean, honestly, I think I like the deepening more just because it makes him sound more like I'm omnipotent being.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's
Because
a
Odin
very-
doesn't even have his, the abilities that he has.
Oh, he does. He has omniscience. Or Odin has the omniscience.
But he had to
When-
pay with his eye.
That is indeed true. He did have, or that
Heimdall just has it.
he was born with it, indeed.
Right.
Also,
Yeah.
I do like, he's like, when he's looking for Jane. Sorry about that.
It's
You're
okay.
good.
I'm gonna have to take more cough suppressant. But he's looking, and then he looks up. I can't see her, and that's when you see that the ether is basically flowing in and out of Jane, and it's like, where'd she get those clothes?
Yeah,
Because
right.
she's in the Asgardian dress as the Ethers are in that scene, yet she hasn't been to Asgard yet. So it's like,
Maybe the editing guys like messed that one
that
up.
is it, because when she
Yeah.
is it's when she gets the ether extracted from her on Svartalfheim later on, it's the same shots, just
Yeah, right.
different background. And I really do like that. Then she comes back and they've been gone for 5 hours, and Thor creates a rainstorm as he comes with 2 breaks over Jane and him. And then she moves away and Darcy gets caught in her typical. And I just love how,
That was fun.
yeah, I love how Jane comes. Jane, smack. I'm sorry, I just had to see if you were real. I am. Smack. Where were you? Where were you? I just love that scene. So, what were your guys' thing or thoughts on the convergence and Thor returning to Jane? I'm gonna get some cough syrup.
No, honestly, I like that snippy dialogue between the two. It's like kind of like more rom-com-esque almost, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's called The Dark World, and the film definitely takes like a darker role, but like the dialogue was much better in this one, in my opinion. Like it felt more, back and forth, conversational than the first one.
Yeah. I think it's more like it's like kind of like more like timed well. I guess like like comedy, like sometimes it's all about timing, right? Like it's just like when Jane slaps Thor for the first time, it's just like, and then it's just like there's a pause, and it's just like, yes, I am real, and then she slaps him again. Like it's kind of like a quick succession, like a pattern. So yeah,
right. And I'm not sure like how much time they spent together in Thor 1, like if it was like a week or like a weekend.
About a few days.
Was it a few days?
Okay. 1 to 2, or at least 2 days. At least 2 days, but I think 3.
So like a weekend, right? So they like fall in love, and then he like disappears after promising to come back, and then it's been 2 years. Like I can see where she's like, "Hey man, what's up? Like, stay true to your word. What's going on?"
Yeah, you said you were coming back. Well, I'm sorry, but the Bifrost was destroyed. Are you going to tell her that you did it?
Right, to save her. Right.
Yep.
Right.
Marauders were pillaging and shit. I had to put an end to the slaughter. As excuses go, it's not terrible.
yeah.
Right, and it was a good. It what like, you can see she's not unreasonable. Like, she has expectations for the relationship, but they're not unreasonable. She's not like the crazy girlfriend. It's like, you're cheating on me. You know what I mean? Like, she's
I mean,
still...
he could have been cheating on her. Who knows?
Right. Well, they never really. I mean, if like you said, let's say it's 2-3 days, right?
Yeah.
What can she really expect from him as far as... So I think this is a really great scene of just like a good... Right, he's a god. He showed up. You guys fell in love. He promised to come back, but like, what kind of you can't put a lot of stuff into the relationship. Yeah,
you can't put a lot of stock into it if it's only been 3 days.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Maybe if it is true love, but turns out it wasn't.
But I just enjoyed that they didn't turn her into another like crazy girlfriend. They stayed consistent with her character being like a smart well-rounded woman.
Yeah.
They didn't...
Or like she just became like a jerk. I don't know.
Right,
well,
they didn't make her jealous like we got hints of with Sif. Like they just
Well, actually, Sif is the one that's jealous of her.
No, that's what I'm saying is like they didn't make her the jealous type,
And but yeah, so then we get the cops that are arresting them, and ends up that if you touch Jane, she'll smack you with a lot of red energy. And then we get the trip to Asgard. Now, her reaction while she's traveling through Bifrost, through space and time, and she's seeing all of this, that was pretty cool. that it's like she has the wonder in her eyes. So Natalie Portman really does nail it with the acting in that scene. But you also see that a chunk of police cars also in
Yeah.
the bridge, and Heimdall's like,
Moves out of the way. Yeah, that was
yeah, it's
great.
like,
That was great.
the hell is that? Okay, clean
No,
up
that
on
was
aisle,
perfect.
clean up on aisle Bifrost. But yeah. And then he sees them, and she's like,
I'll
"We
just
gotta
let the
do that again."
dimensional pool deal with that.
Yeah. And then there's the I do like how Heimdall smiles to her. He's like, "Welcome to Asgard," and then he gives a smile to reassure her, "I'm not gonna hurt you."
Well, he
I mean-
probably knows her better than anybody. Like
Well,
he
yeah,
knows her better
he-
than
wha-
Thor.
I mean, Thor's basically turned Heimdall into his own freaking peeping Tom.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's just to put it in a comedic sense, folks.
Right. Obviously, he's not being a creep. We don't think Thor's a creep, but yeah, he's
Well, Heimdall's not
Or
great.
Heimdall either.
right. But
Even though
But yeah,
Heimdall can literally hear and see
everything, right?
He's
But-
for those of you who
Yeah.
don't know the three omnis, there's omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. Omnipresent, you're everywhere. Omniscient, you know everything, or you can see everything and hear everything. Omnipotent means you can do anything. So, but yeah, continue.
It was something I always think about, like this little like details, like the car thing. Like imagine being the owner of that car and having to explain to your insurance, like, I don't know, these like runes showed up on the ground and then like half my car was just cut in half. Like I don't know what to tell you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's like, I'm sorry. Actually, I think that was a police car.
Oh, was it?
So,
Yeah, it
was
might
a
have been.
police car. And I love Darcy when it's all said and done. It's like, holy shit. Because what would you say in that situation? I mean, it's like, holy shit. I mean, I'd be like, oh.
I'd be trying
Wow.
to touch everything, and then I'd probably be dead.
Same. What's this?
Because
What's
I
this?
accidentally just go out of the freaking. I accidentally get sucked into a dimensional wormhole.
I mean, what if she stuck her hand in there and, well, didn't get dragged along? You got a hand in there that's about to flop into flop into Asgard, and it's like, fuck.
Yeah, I'd probably lose a limb. I'd just be trying to
For
like
sure.
stick my hand in it.
I mean,
For sure.
there's just so much. The destructive force of the Bifrost was established in the first movie, folks, as a planet, and not just a planet, but a realm-killing tool. However, when used properly, it's a bridge. So yeah, we get to Asgard. Let me go back to the talking points. But also, the Dark Elves have awakened because the convergence and the Aether woke them up. And it's like, yeah, the Aether or the convergence is upon us again. And
Dun dun dun.
Malekith returns home, and I'm sorry, folks, when this dude is bitching to his friend, where he just sticks his head up like this, and is like, what kind of acting is that? I mean,
Yeah.
you got to be either really bad at delivering your lines, or you're trying to remember them in one go because you're literally speaking a different language that is not your own. I get
Yeah,
that.
like a made up
but-
language, basically.
Damn, dude, you are literally talking up like this, and it's like not the best acting.
Honestly, he sounded like a cat with like a really deep voice. I don't know why.
Well,
You
you
know-
are a kitty, so it makes sense.
Right. Sometimes I wonder if these actors who have to do like ridiculous things and dress in ridiculous costumes, they just like don't take it as seriously. They're like, whatever, it's a paycheck. But like Chris Eccleston was in Doctor Who, he was doing like weird things, saying weirder stuff. So I don't know if he was just like not super into it, or like you said, just
In
it's a
this,
different
in,
language.
at least in that scene, I think it was that he was struggling to keep his lines going.
Maybe.
yeah, maybe. Like
Because it's
I know, like I think it.
mm,
Yeah, I think when like you're not trying to like do everything, well, Okay, I think there is an echo.
No, there's not one here. I mean, you're probably hearing shit in the background. If I can't apologize for that, or I can't apologize for that, I can't do anything about it.
Oh, it's okay. All right.
I do live in an apartment complex, and there are people at the pool. You might hear
Okay.
that.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
All right. So yeah, it might be because he was doing something like it's different. It's more okay. What am I trying to say? Come on, brain.
Well, here's the thing: when people think, or when they're trying to do something, what do? Well, they're doing what I'm doing. They're looking up, and they're trying to remember, and this and that. That may have actually been an involuntary action.
Yeah, it might be. And because he's supposed to be like sleeping and then he wakes up, right? So I feel like maybe like it's a little bit more difficult to remember lines when you're not doing a specific action, I guess. Like, and then it's just like, yeah, it's like you're told, and I'm like, oh, that's my line.
Yeah. It's like Shoshi Tabatatashi line. What? It's like line. Oh crap! We need the photophime line. Oh fuck it! I'm winging it.
Just say gibberish. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? And Adewale, who plays Algrim, I think that he plays a good minion, so to speak, to Malekith, where he becomes the next accursed or the last of the cursed. And I'm thinking to myself, they give him that weird helmet, and this dude is going to look fucked up. Because you see the cursed in the beginning of the movie where they have the dark elf masks on so they don't look so fierce. But then they give him that weird mask, and he looks freaking terrifying with it. And I love how they got to sneak that stone in. They literally stab him, and put it in the wound. It's like, oh shit. So we then see that Odin is, or the Soul Forge, which is a quantum field generator, which the science woman who also played the Borg Queen in Star Trek, is the woman who is doing the Soul Forge. And then Odin comes in. My words are mere sounds that you ignore them completely. She's ill. Her world's got healers. They're called doctors. Let her deal with them. She does not belong on Asgard no more than a goat belongs at a banquet table. Did he just... I just love that. Who do you think you are? I'm Odin, king of Asgard, protector of the 9 realms. Oh. Well, I know very well who you are, Jane Fonda. I just love that, where she's still trying that small bit of defiance, even though she realized she's literally talking to a very powerful person.
The guy who's in charge of the place that she's at. Yeah, right.
Not only that, but this dude
Freaking
is a freaking king of the universe, essentially.
Basically, yeah.
He's that pantheon's god of gods.
All father? Like,
Yeah.
Hello.
And so then you get then you see the Einherjar get throttled from trying to touch her, and then he realizes, oh shit, there's something. Oh, come with me. Yeah, you got a freaking you got infinity juice in you. You've been sticking your hands where it shouldn't have been. So he tells him the story, or she tells her the story of the Dark Elves, and I love what happened to him. He killed them all. I just love how he gets just so deadly serious about it. He killed them all. But yeah, we also thought the Aether was destroyed, yet here it is. The Dark Elves are dead. Odin's pride is showing in this scene. He doesn't want to admit that maybe his father had failed. Because that would mean that, oh fuck, this is something that's coming back to bite us in the ass. And my father barely won against these assholes. Be honest, folks. Bor's army of Asgardians were cut down significantly when Malekith sacrificed his people.
Yeah.
He literally dropped ships on them. So, yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what did you all think of Odin meeting Daddy? Or not Odin meeting Daddy.
Odin meeting Daddy.
Jane meeting Daddy.
He's met Daddy. His father comes from the Aether to bitch slap.
Jane meets Daddy. There you go.
Well, yeah, Odin is definitely very, very intimidating. I'm going to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I'd be kind of terrified, basically. To be honest, I would probably just keep my mouth shut, unlike Jane, and just go about my business. So yeah.
A lady who goes by the name Riot Kitty is very meek.
She would not cause a riot in Asgard, is what she's saying.
No, she wouldn't.
No, I'm very meek in front of gods.
Well, there you go.
I mean, props to Natalie Portman again for holding her own in a room with Anthony Hopkins. I mean, I know she has an Oscar from her movie Black Swan, but I don't know. You get all of these.
How many does he have? Like a million?
What's up?
How many does he have? Like a million?
5?
I mean, it's like, got an Oscar.
Yeah, I mean he's just a legend. He's a legend, you know what I mean?
He is.
But yeah, again, the dialogue in this movie, the back and forth, the quippiness of it, it's very witty. The dialogue's fun. And it's comical and serious at the same time. Like it gets Odin gets his point across, like, I'm Odin, and she's like, oh, you know, and it's kind of funny and you kind of smirk at it and it's quippy and I like it, and that was probably my major like thumbs up for this movie, was just the characters and the dialogue. So this is just an absolutely fun scene of just the back and forth where he's like, yeah, of course she's sick. Like that's what humans do, is they get sick and they die.
Yeah,
and then he's like, oh wait, she's sick with like space juice. Oh no. Like,
yeah, I don't think this is her fault.
Infinity juice.
This is a little different than like
her hand in some shit.
Right. This is different than like cancer or whatever. But
she's got dimensional cancer.
She's got dimensional.
There you go.
Dimensional cancer. Yeah.
Maybe it was the ether that gave her the cancer. It just took like 10 years to freaking kill her.
You know, yeah.
Could be.
Like all of the stuff, like going through the Bifrost didn't give her like radiation poisoning or something. You know. Because
Asgardians are immune to radiation.
But you know what I mean? Like human bodies, I don't think are meant to like
are
be
meant
sucked
for
through
that
space
shit.
Like that. Yeah,
exactly.
Or like you don't know the atmosphere on Asgard, like.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, oh man.
Fucking Asgard gave her cancer.
Right, Thor ended up killing her in the end. Wow, what a tragic.
Man, what, dude? Asgard, maybe. I'm thinking
we just
about
solved,
should
the Thor problem.
I get adult here or should I not? It's like, dude, you're probably radioactive from all that traveling across the 9 realms. You sleep with Jane, you got probably a radiated.
Oh god, it's very jaded Spider-Man all over again with radioactive jizz.
I know, right? Radioactive fluid.
We need to stop giving heroes radioactive jizz.
Yeah. Like, damn girl. Hope you didn't swallow it one time.
Oh god.
Yeah, we went there, folks.
We went there and Taika didn't. That's saying something.
Yeah. That is saying something, considering the fact that dumbass didn't go there. But we did it for him, so yeah, fuck you, Taika.
You're welcome, Taika.
Yeah, you're welcome, you little fuck. But anyway, you also have the scene with Loki talking with Frigga, And I love how he just rips at her. It's like, he's not my father. I'm not about to yell that because I don't want to blow your eardrums out. But and she's like, am I not your mother?
Oh, that's such a great line.
And he's like, you're not. Always so perceptive of everyone but yourself. Meaning she can see right through him. She was raised by witches, you know? So she knows exactly what he's thinking. And he does care for Frigga. Even though he doesn't want other people to know it, he cares for her because we see
He's a
what happens
mama's
when he
boy.
reacts. Yeah, exactly. He's a mama's boy. Because his mama didn't like him very much. I mean, she threw him out like the garbage. But with the garbage, in fact. But yeah. Don't ask how Jotuns procreate, folks, because I could tell you. But it's not human way. I'm just saying. Feet are involved.
Oh my god.
That's all I'm saying.
Holes are in their feet.
No,
Oh god. He's gonna explain it.
no, I'm not. Let's just
Okay.
say,
I'm Googling this right now.
yeah, there you go.
Oh my
How do Jotuns reproduce? There you go. Because I had a girl who's from Norway actually explain this shit to me. And it's like, that is oddly disgusting. But anyway, back to the thing. There is the deleted scene where, as Ambassador was putting it, where she says, basically, I wanted to give him something unique because he's always was hiding, or he was always feeling like he was under your shadows. So yes, I gave him something that he could use, which was very. Boy, you really are looking that up, aren't you?
Oh, you hear me typing? My bad.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. But I do also like how she also meets. She also meets Jane, and then we let's see here. The dungeons in Asgard. Loki, or that's when Curse, because he goes from Allgrim to being called Cursed. He ends up, or he curses himself with stone and just starts knocking down barriers. And then he starts sucking the life out of Asgardians just through touching them. And then he goes up to Loki's cell. Loki's just staring him down with a look on his face, and it's like, yeah, I'm not letting you out. You just look like you just want to cause trouble. I mean, I'm here with a purpose. You just look chaotic. You may want to take the stairs to your left. You fucking asshole. Because here's the thing, Loki. You inadvertently led Curse to your mom.
Yep.
Yeah.
The tragedy of it all. That was
The tragedy of the choices we make.
which well, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but
No, this is full spoilers. Go, spoil away.
so like I don't know if you guys saw the Loki TV show, but they completely undid it in the Loki TV show because they got Loki from right before he gets captured, right? And
Yep.
or he gets captured by the Avengers, right?
And
then
he escapes from them.
And then so it's like right before he goes to the events of this movie, Thor: The Dark World. It's right before all of these events, and they take him out, and then they show him what he does in the future, and he's like, "No, I wouldn't do that." And it's like, well, you let your pride get the better of you, And
Yep.
yeah, that is what you did,
And that does shock the shit out of him too.
right.
Nothing like giving you the reality check you need.
But he's still he still betrays Thor. So it's like, how are you going to have this what you would think would be like a life-changing moment of like, oh my god, I just accidentally helped this dude kill my mom, the only person I really was attached to and actually cared about. You'd think that would be he would reconsider his whole life, but no, the god of mischief continues to be mischievous.
Now,
Yeah,
one of the things I do, small segue, with the Loki series, they or a lot of people love to give that show a lot of shit, except that show actually did the Infinity Stones right, where the MCU main didn't. But we'll get to that when we get to Endgame, folks.
Right.
So yeah, we then see the invasion of Asgard through the Dark Elves, and how Heimdall didn't see the ship. However, he does hear it, and he's like, "Well, better run," and crashes that one ship. But then he sees the big one, and it's like, "Oh, okay, I gotta put up the shield," and it works for the most part, except that yeah, Curse is already in the palace, and he knocks that shit out just by smashing it.
Did that seem too easy to you guys?
Considering he is literally invincible for a slightly prolonged period of time, I mean, his life is literally slowly draining away as he is cursed. However, he is granted extreme invulnerability.
No, I just mean like
It was going
overall.
fast,
I
yes.
don't mean like him, but I mean that like Asgard just completely being defenseless just because
Yeah.
like one dude in like got inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like when you have like some guards over by the shield generator or something, like I don't know.
Dead.
And like honestly, like with the first scenes of them like showing up in like the ship, I was like, this feels way too easy. Like okay, like they're all Asgardian warriors, right? Like they guard the palace. They have to be pretty good, right?
No,
like,
NPCs. Like,
yeah, it feels a little bit one-sided. Like they kind of like just decided like, okay, let's like rush it a little bit just to get to like the dramatic bit or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
And because, well, again, yes, these are elite Asgardians. He's invincible.
Well,
He
no,
literally
I
gets
mean
stabbed through
like
the-
there's like the normal dark elf soldiers going up against.
Well,
the
yeah.
those guys.
I mean, they end up getting in there, and I like their singularity grenades. So that was an interesting effect. And Malekith takes one and just throws it right at the throne. Doesn't want to kill anybody. He just throws it at the throne, man, and it destroys the throne. And it's like, I hope Hugin and Moonin got out of there, because that's where they perch.
Yeah,
it definitely sends a message.
So.
Yeah, it's like, here's what I think of you and your authority. Fuck you. Eat that throne. And then we get to Odin telling his or send the legions into battle, and you see Sif catch eyes on Jane, and it's like, oh, you're fucking here. Great. Cunt. I mean, that's basically what's going through Sif's mind. It's like, why is she here?
And she probably thinks too, like, oh, this destruction of Asgard is your fault, and you're taking my man. Like, it's like yeah, it's like a twofer.
I mean, and she's also tasked with busting Jane out of there, because it's like, they won't see me coming. And he looks at Sif, and Sif's like, really? You want me to bust her ass out? I'm going to get you later for this, Thor.
Well,
yeah.
actually the smartest plan, though, because she would be the least likely to do it. So.
Mm-hmm. Also, I do like how Frigga tells her husband, it's like, not a very good liar. And then she grabs the sword of one of the Ironheart, and solid respect, soldier's discipline. He's like, he goes like this, and is like, oh, okay, the queen grabbed it. I'll go into battle without a weapon. My queen needed it more than I did, which is a nice little touch there. And she's like, I need you to listen to me. No questions. Yes, ma'am. It's like, okay. So yeah, you're going to hide back here. I'm going to create a projection. It's going to be very lifelike. You're going to see everything as if you are in that room. And just try to stay away from him. Doesn't exactly work. She kicks his ass. And then Cursed gets in there. I got to say, if it was Renee who was doing that, whipping around, good on you, girl. Good on you. I'm thinking it was a stunt double. In all
It
honesty.
looked pretty clean though. Like
Yes, it
if
did.
it was the stunt double, the cuts were clean. It wasn't
yeah.
like Taken 3. You know
Yeah,
what
I
mean?
did not
Yeah.
notice any like hiccups or whatever. Like you see like maybe like a second
was
or it's like a
Just really good.
different actress.
And I love how when he goes close, she just flings up her sword. Well, here, I don't want to knock the table down. Just gradually just flicks it up like that. Flick, and cuts him. And then she starts doing the whole twisting and twirlies, and she holds the sword like this instead of like this, which is nice, which works for her fighting style. And then she gets killed. Yeah. And Malekith gets a bolt of lightning to the face. That was freaking awesome. Sucks that Frigga gets killed, but when Malekith gets a bolt to the freaking face, I'm like, how are you alive?
Well,
I
he was
mean-
invincible, right?
Well, no, that's cursed.
That was the cursed guy. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, the
like he
cursed
must
guy?
be.
Malekith
Okay.
took a freaking bolt of lightning straight to the face.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess technically you could
Ow.
just call it like he got like a 3rd-degree burn or something that didn't kill him.
He got lit up like a Roman candle.
His health
And-
bar is very long.
Yeah, his health bar has to be very long to take that shit. And then Curse just takes the hammer or gets hit in the back with a hammer, but they escape. And then Odin comes in, and it's like, oh no. Odin, this scene freaking got me crying so hard. And as I was watching this, I was literally reciting the prayer or the death prayer from what I learned from 13th Warrior. Lo, there do I see my father. Lo, there do I see my mother, my sisters, and my brothers. Lo, there do I see the line of my people back to the beginning. Lo, they do call to me. They wish me take my place among them in the halls of Valhalla, where the brave may live forever.
Oh, and she definitely made it to Valhalla because she died in combat.
She died in battle.
Yeah,
Yep.
she died in combat, so she earned her place in Valhalla.
And I do love how when they're doing it, or when they're giving her the Viking funeral where they're sending her off, Odin slams Gungnir to keep the boat afloat. And then her spirit drifts up. You see Heimdall follow that because he is seeing what we can't.
Mhm.
And then he looks down because what he's seeing is something that is deeply personal. He cannot, or that's something that he's not really, it's not appropriate for him to see. Because you're literally seeing a spirit departing a body at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
And I do love how he looks down in reverence instead of continuing to see where she goes. And like I said, I was crying when I first saw that in theaters. Because it's like, oh my God, one of the greatest characters freaking just died.
And the music just like hits really well.
Yeah, it does.
And the timing right after the scene where she tells Odin, "It's because I worry about you that you've survived this long," and then
Yep.
she dies, and it's like, who was worrying about her, you know? And it's just super emotional, and you know, you get more of a depth from Thor too, of those shots of him like, you know, watching her funeral of like, okay, like stakes are higher now, like we've been attacked at home, my mom's dead.
I've just lost one of my parents.
Right. And like the love of his life is also still in jeopardy. Like his home just got attacked. Like it just puts higher stakes on everything.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely like a lot of pressure.
for sure.
They walked into our yard and they took a shit in our yard.
Yeah.
And
a
that
really
shit
big
just-
shit too.
Yeah, that is a big pile of shit.
Yeah.
And then we see one of the Ironheart go to Loki. You don't hear what is said. However, you basically can understand he's telling her that Frigga is dead. And he gets up. He nods and until the guy goes up, and then he gets up, and then you see him lift his arms up like this, and everything just flies out around him.
Yeah.
It hit him. It hit him. That death hit him.
What I love about this film and that we don't see in the two Thor films following it is just a lot of like nuance. They say a lot without saying a lot. Like we didn't hear what the guard said to Loki, but we know exactly what happened and exactly what he was going through. And they didn't say a single word. And this is what made this movie good. You know, scenes like this and moments like this where it's like it was just good storytelling, you know.
Yep. Riot, anything to add?
I'm more of like a delayed reactionary, so I actually I actually kind of like cried like after the funeral scene with like Loki being informed of his mother's death, and I'm just like, oh god, it's like fucking painful, even though he's a narcissistic whiny bitch, but it's just painful.
But this
I
is
guess.
actually something that will hurt him, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, yeah, that's about it, really. Like, I can't add anything more than.
Yeah. So then we get Heimdall coming up to Thor, and he's like, "That we're facing an enemy that I cannot see nor hear. What use is a guardian such as that?" As well as we learned that the Bifrost has been closed down on Odin's order. The War Council, or Odin, has also incarcerated Jane. And they have that small argument with between Thor and Odin, where he's like, "She's your prisoner now. I don't want to argue with you, nor I with you, but I intend to pursue Malekith." He's like, "We have the Aether. He'll come to us." And he'll destroy us. Thor calls it out for what it is. They just walked into here, basically, and kicked our ass. They'll destroy us next time. Well, if that's our fate. And
guess I'll die then.
Right, yeah.
Like, and he's like, well, how many of ours will die too? As many as are needed. And you see that he's also probably in need of another Odin sleep. Because he literally cradles Gungnir and restands, and it's like, we will fight to the last Asgardian breath, to the last drop of Asgardian blood. Well, then how are you better than Malekith? Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
The difference is, my son, I will win. You got a plan to do that there, sir. Because didn't look like you were winning last time. Even with Gungnir, which also has infinite power itself, that spear that Odin has, it's not an infinity stone, but it is indeed a very powerful weapon.
My main question was like, why didn't Odin release the Destroyer or something when?
The Destroyer is dead.
Oh, that's right. Thor killed him in the first one. But like any of his other, like, he has other weapons.
He secured the weapons vault so that the Dark Elves couldn't get to it.
You know, it's all of these little tiny things. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, I know it's like for
he had several gods of
progression,
war.
Right, right. Like,
I mean,
come
these
on,
guys
use
are
your
all-
resources, dude. Like, let's go.
The Einherjar are also known to be berserkers when they need to be.
Yeah.
However, Curse laid waste to a lot of them.
So I don't know if that was like lazy writing there, but it seems that Odin.
Yeah. It goes back to like me being like, this feels like way too easy. Like I know that Malekith is supposed to be invincible. Like I feel like they could have put up a little bit better of a fight.
Yeah. I mean, so then they are busting Jane out. They're having a whole plan thing. And I do like how Heimdall, he's like, what do you require of me? And all he has to do is just keep Odin distracted. But Odin, when he realizes, it's like, stop Thor by any means necessary. He literally just put a kill out order out on his son. No joke, folks.
Yep.
And Loki, or Thor goes to Loki, and I love it. It's like, Loki is mocking him. He's like, come to gloat, to mock. Loki enough, no more illusions. He could see right through it. And then you see that his feet are either bleeding or those are from grapes crushing or getting crushed. The walls are all soot and marked up. The place is a wreck, and he's like, now you see me, brother. Did she suffer? Not come here to share her grief with you. I'm come here to offer you a much richer sacrament. And I know you crave vengeance, and then I'll give you a chance to, or I'll grant that. And then later the cell. You must be desperate to come to me. And then we get that
he's
lovely,
kind of desperate.
yeah. Then we get the lovely switching bodies and whatnot with Captain America and
That was
Chris
fun.
Evans playing Loki.
That was just
And,
disturbing.
that was not to
You
mention
didn't like it?
hearing, not to
Well,
mention
no,
hearing,
I mean, like, okay, like it's Chris Evans doing like a Loki impression. I'm just like, that is terrifying.
yeah,
That's just
Right.
disturbing.
Yeah.
It's like, it didn't really scare me. I'm just like, the way he's acting is just weird and jilty.
Right.
and then we
Yeah.
see him also turn Thor into Lady Sif, and it's like it'll hurt no less when I kill you in this form, and it's in Thor's voice, and I'm like, that's disturbing. I mean, it almost makes you ask, what is a woman?
Right, for sure.
But yeah, we then see he's like, you could at least furnish me with a weapon, my dagger or something. All right, at last, some common set. And he's getting shackled. And I thought you liked tricks.
That
So then,
little smile from him at the
Yeah.
end there too after he says
Yeah.
yeah, and so then we get Thor or Jane meeting Loki. Hi, I'm Loki. You may have heard of me.
it.
That's for New York. I like her. And everybody is like, betray him and I'll kill you. Good to see you too, Sif. And then Volstagg, if you think about betraying him, you'll kill me. Evidently, there'll be a line. Then they escape, and I just, oh my God, it is just so great. Now they're following us. Now they're shooting at us. Shut up, Loki. And I just love how he pushes Loki out the window of that ship.
Oh yeah, he was saying something that's like, it's like, what a brilliant idea! Like,
It's brilliant, Thor. It's brilliant. Shut the fuck up.
and then everyone's saying that he shoves.
Then he grabs Jane and he just jumps, and it's like, oh, okay, there was a plan. Son of a bitch.
It's funny to see Loki like off his element, you know, instead
Yeah.
of him being the scheming one, like Thor's the scheming one and he's completely left in the dark.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
No, it's like, take us to that place, basically where he let the Jotuns in, which is essentially, if you look at the effects of that, where he goes into that cave area, that channeled Bifrost energy. If you really pay attention to it, the flickering Bifrost area or energy. And I love that if it was easy, everyone would do it. Are you mad? Possibly. But when he gets through, when they punch through the portal, ta-da! That is such
Yeah.
a great scene. It's like, if it was easy, everyone would do it. Nice call out to the movie A League of Their Own, folks, if you haven't, or if you don't know your movies, because that's what Tom Hanks says to Gina Davis. If it was easy, everyone would do it. It's the
Everyone would
hard
do
that
it.
makes it great.
Yeah.
So Eric is then discussing the convergence on Earth, and we get our Stan Lee cameo. He's like, any questions? Yeah, can I have my shoe back? What is it with this director and shoes?
Maybe it's
mean-
like a secret foot fetish or something.
Possibly.
Maybe he just likes shoe jokes. Like just be like, maybe just like shoe jokes, like shoes just flying at someone's face and hitting them.
I mean, he's like in a retirement home, but also a sanatorium. And he's describing
Yeah.
this whole thing. It's like nobody's fucking listening. Except for Stan Lee. Yeah, can I get my shoe back? Oh, God. So, what did you think of the Stan Lee cameos or cameo?
I always like seeing him pop in.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's something that obviously the new ones won't have.
Rest in
even
peace.
right.
Yep.
And as we're speaking, I'm looking at a Thor comic book that actually had Stan Lee signed. So
Nice.
fitting for this topic. But
nice.
yeah, Stan Lee is my homie, so I like seeing him in those cameos.
Oh, believe me, if I were, or as much of a fan of Stan Lee as I am, it pisses me off to what I heard leading up to before he died. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys heard, but he was radically abused. They
Yeah,
were
I
having him
did.
sign shit in blood, in his own fucking blood,
Jeez.
in up to his last, or any event that he was doing signing up to the last few months of his life. He wasn't mentally sound enough to do that. They forced him to do it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And it's like, Disney, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why didn't you protect him? You know?
Yeah, let him retire and be in peace. And
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, like, yeah, that's an issue with Hollywood these days. I think they just drag out actors when they're clearly way too old to do so.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to happen to Harrison Ford, basically, if he keeps doing these roles
Well,
too.
he had signed on for 5 indie movies, so I don't think he'll sign another indie.
I hope he's
release.
done after this. I hope
I'm
he
hoping he's
is.
done because Crystal Skull had some decent moments in it, but it just wasn't as good as the original 3.
Well, yeah, no, it's just like not even like the movie quality. It's just like his health, you know. Like
Yeah, he he almost broke. I believe he did break a rib in this film.
Well, yeah, he had like that plane crash or something, and
Russell
it's
crashed his
just
plane. He broke his rib. He's falling downstairs. What the fuck?
And you don't need to have older actors doing action things in order for them to be great in films. Like, I mean, look at Morgan Freeman. Like, he falls asleep on sets, and nobody faults him for it. We just like seeing him in films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's 80-something years old. He's gonna sit or stand in a
He's
in a
taking his
scene.
damn nap.
Right, exactly. Let him take his nap, and it's all good.
Shoot the scene, and then when
Right.
you need to shoot, it's like, okay, Morgan, time for a close up. What? All right, shut it.
he lulls himself to sleep with his own voice. That's what I like to think.
That is such
I mean, yeah.
What she said.
Yeah.
I mean,
Starts reading poetry, then falls asleep.
That makes
Well, yeah,
sense.
bro. Like I
Hey,
could
shut
fall
up.
asleep to like a Morgan Freeman audiobook or something. I could fall asleep to Morgan Freeman reading his grocery list or something.
For sure.
I do
Like, he has
believe
such
that
a great
there should have.
voice.
Yep, we got one from Skyhound. Do you think that some scenes should have been added in despite the time length? I do believe they should have, like the deleted scene with Loki and Frigga, and the end of that. Yeah. Also, how you doing, MJ1 Media? Morgan Freeman was fun in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and even later in Dark Knight trilogy. Damn
Hello,
straight.
MJ1.
Damn straight. But yes, getting back to it. What did you guys think of the scene between Loki and Thor afterward when they're on the Dark World discussing what happened to Frigga, the Aether and the power and whatnot? Because he's like, was trust her last expression when you let her die? What use were you in your cell? Who put me there? You know damn well who put you there. And Thor was full on prepared to rip it or to pummel Loki for that. But
yeah, it's definitely still high emotions. You know,
like,
their
you
mom
know
just died.
damn well who, and he brings up his fist, and I'm like, is Chris actually going to lay into him? I mean, are they that delved into this scene, into these roles, that he would have pummeled Tom Hiddleston? I mean, if I could ask Tom Hiddleston any question, it's like, do you think that maybe Chris would have laid into you? I mean, were you guys really in that moment, or was that just following the script? Because I'd like to think it was almost a little bit too in the moment, because when he brings that arm up, it's like, Oh shit.
Yeah, it was convincing for sure.
Very much. Then we also get Jane with her black eyes, which was kind of creepy, but I've
Yeah.
seen them in the
Looking Jane.
I've seen her with crazy eyes before in Black Swan. Let me tell you, folks, Natalie Portman has done some pretty interesting movies. I have never ever heard of a movie that is known as a psychosexual thriller, and Natalie Portman did it. And I'm thinking to myself, she's nuts. But
She was
does
great
it well.
in it, though. She did it
She
really
was.
well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's nuts, but she does. A lot of people give Natalie Portman shit. She's been acting since she was 13.
Yeah.
And however, I thought she did good in in Star Wars. She followed the directions well.
Yeah,
she
I
was
thought
like,
she
what,
did well.
13 or something in the. Or 16
In
or
episode
whatever.
1, she was like 17.
I remember she
playing a
couldn't make the
14-year-old.
premiere because she had like school the next day or like a test or something.
Yeah, she was
Like, she was a
still
kid.
not yet in episode 1, she was still underage. In episode 2, she was 18. She could show a little more tummy. Episode 3, she was even more older. And but yeah, Natalie Portman she played great in these movies, except for the one we won't discuss because it's not a part
The
of
one
the
that
Infinity
shall
Saga.
not be named.
Blood and Blunder.
Well,
Uh,
okay, maybe it wasn't her acting that was bad. It was the writing that was bad. Because
Writing and directing.
Yeah, the writing and directing, because we're coming to like a place in Hollywood in general, and it's not just in Marvel films, but just like overall, where the acting far outweighs the writing and directing.
Yeah.
Like they were good in their performance, but that character sucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? There's only a few actors who can really do well without directing. Like most actors in Hollywood need that direction to like really, really do good in their roles. So
Mhm.
And then there's actors that it just comes naturally to, like that or Anthony Hopkins, who can literally play any role. I mean, you give
he could
him a
play
role.
a pillow, and I probably would.
Yeah, he
Exactly.
could
I
be a
was
tree
gonna
or
say,
something.
He could act as a pillow. I don't know.
You can cast him as a fucking plank of wood, and he'd get an Oscar for it. I mean, it's
Right.
like Alucard said in Hellsing Ultimate. It's like, or killing at least a dozen innocent people. Also, did Anthony Hopkins, and he got a fucking Oscar for it.
Yeah, it's just he's great.
Anthony Hopkins is retired from acting, I do believe now.
Yes.
And yet, if you had him just go into a theater and flip a coin, somebody get that man an Oscar.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
literally,
he
if
could
he
do
came back
something
to
for someone
acting
big.
and he just like sits in like a wheelchair or something for the entire movie, he'd probably still.
I mean, watch season 1 of Westworld. He basically just sits in a chair and talks, and it's amazing. The whole thing is it's amazing.
Yeah.
Anthony
Mark Hamill
Hopkins
did a
can
great job in
really.
his performance. He was also in defiance of the asshole that made that film. But yeah, I don't know. You don't know
Psychosexual
this.
thriller sounds like a
Yeah.
kink, honestly. I don't know.
Sounds like a Harley Quinn movie. Just waiting to happen.
Maybe.
The thing is, we got a Harley Quinn film coming out, The Joker 2. They could make it a
lovely.
psychosexual film.
Apparently, it's a
Except that they're making it a
psychosexual
musical.
musical.
Yeah,
God,
psychosexual
I'm
musical. How about that?
It sounds cringe. Honestly,
Can I
like
pass? Yeah, can we pass on that one?
Yeah.
the only
I'm not
DC
gonna
musical
discuss it.
I would ever accept if they do like an adaptation like Brave and the Bold and like play it completely straight.
I mean, they-
But the Joker doesn't need a sequel. Like,
No,
I
it
know we're
really
getting off
doesn't.
topic. I'm
I
sorry.
know.
Yeah.
It doesn't. But let's
he
get
also
back
doesn't
on.
need to sing.
No,
Yeah,
please no.
getting back onto it. So,
I'm surprised Taika didn't turn Thor into a musical, to be honest.
probably wanted to,
No, he
but they
wasn't
said
gonna
no.
do that.
But so we get to Svartalheim, and they come up with a plan. And I do like that line from Loki: "Trust my rage."
Yeah.
And he literally, well, magically cuts off Thor's hand. And I'm like, oh, damn, dude. He's stabbing Thor. He's cutting off his hand. And then,
I am Loki of Jotunheim. I was like,
Honestly,
ooh,
like,
okay.
I saw like he made it believable. Like it looked like there was like bone in there or whatever.
oh, yeah, you saw the wrist bone. You saw the
Yep.
wrist bone. And it's like, oh, shit. Did he cut his hand? Fuck, he did.
And like seared it too, because it wasn't bleeding.
Yeah, because you also see, if you look at it, I watched it today in 4K. You actually see a searing thing around the edges, almost like his knife was burning.
Right.
And he's like, I only have one request: a good seat and to watch Asgard burn. And Curse vouches for him. It's like, oh yeah, he was in their cells. I didn't let him out because I don't trust that fucker. So then we get Jane getting the infinity juice sucked out of her.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, folks. Wow. Sorry about
What?
You're innocent, so no.
Oh, okay.
It's okay, kitty.
Yeah, it's okay. You'll get it eventually.
Okay.
Oh no.
Anyway, he takes the ether out and they try to destroy it. Doesn't work. He puts it in himself. Wow.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
I'm gonna have to stop.
Reel it in, dude. Reel it in.
I'm glad, yeah. Let's look
One
at
after the other after the other. That was great.
Yeah. I was glad Kat Dennings returned, though. I'd have preferred she fall for didn't fall. Yeah. She only fell for the new guy because he picked up a gravity-induced weightless car and smacked a couple elves down.
Right, and then we never see him again.
Exactly. It's like, whatever happened to that dude that you were
Just
kissing at the end of
Adrenaline, I
Torture?
guess. They banged and then it was a one-night stand.
right, because he
Well,
wasn't
yeah,
around in WandaVision when Kat shows up again. So
I know, right?
Darcy
God,
shows up
why
again.
did she show up in WandaVision? Okay.
It really didn't make sense, did it?
No, I would have preferred. Like, I think honestly, if she wasn't in WandaVision, it would probably be like a 30% better show.
Yeah.
Maybe she was contractually obligated to be in like 10 more hours of MCU stuff.
I don't know,
I'm
or
not sure.
like you're
Probably, who knows?
contractually obligated to be in one Disney Plus show. Pick one.
Yeah.
Well, Disney Plus wasn't a thing when
Yeah,
no,
that's true.
whatever.
Maybe they just wanted to
When
bring.
WandaVision was?
Maybe
Like-
WandaVision
No,
sucked so
when-
bad, and they realized we need to
we
bring
gotta bring
somebody in from the
that we like.
MCU, somebody who's funny, somebody who's spunky. Who do we got?
Kat
Well,
Dennings.
Kat Dennings hasn't done a movie for a while. Yeah.
Right,
Here on
somebody
do you
else.
want to be in the MCU again? Well, yeah. How about WandaVision? Is there a Thor movie? Yes, but we didn't write you into it. Fuck.
At all. At all.
At all.
Like,
Right?
Yeah.
like Thor
Wait,
makes
wait.
all of these friends on Earth, and then like after Thor: Dark World, nothing. Like
No,
we don't-
exactly. It's like, what the fuck? But anyway,
Well, I guess Ragnarok is more in space, but yeah, like I mean, going back to that for Love and Thunder would have been good.
I mean, she does show up for Love and Thunder, I do believe.
Kat.
Yeah.
She
She
does for the chemo scene and stuff.
Yeah. She's there for that, and then that's it. And it's like, Jesus Christ, people.
They didn't like end. They didn't write like an ending to it. Like they didn't.
Yeah. They didn't
flesh it
they
out.
didn't resolve her character.
Right at all.
But yeah, so we're now getting to the fight between Curse, Loki, and Thor. And Thor's Loki undoes the spell, and I'm like, Oh, thank God. Because I would not want Thor to get the Aquaman treatment where he gets the
You
The
get
fork
sushi.
arm.
the fork arm. I just gotta say, while I like Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, I prefer Jane to have been a paramedic, like in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, than an astrophysicist. That's fair. I didn't know she was.
Wasn't she a nurse in the original? She was a nurse or something.
No, she was an astrophysicist in the MCU.
No,
But
not the
in
MCU.
oh,
the
in the
original
comics, I have no idea.
Because
Huh.
Donald
I'll look
Blake was Thor's
Alternate
alter ego on Earth, and he was a doctor. So she was either his nurse or like his receptionist or something.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. But getting back to it, freaking Thor's Curse is going to Pound Town on Thor. Get your minds out of the gutters.
Yeah, she was a nurse.
Yep, she was. And I do love how he tries calling the hammer, and Curse just elbows it out of the way. It's like, damn, this dude is really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And then Loki steps in after dispatching a couple elves and stabs him through the back, and then he just right into him. And it's like, oh, damn! In the cartoon, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Jane was a paramedic rushing toward danger to save people, is what prompted Thor's attraction to her. Oh, nice. I'll have to also check that out.
It's been a while since I've seen Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I don't remember Jane in it, but
Well,
I haven't checked out.
Rewatch it again.
I haven't
Yeah.
checked out any of the cartoon Avengers stuff or the cartoon like Marvel stuff. I've mostly just been doing like.
I've seen a
DC
couple of them.
comics,
That's about it.
but,
I've seen
I'll have to check it out.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the Heroes of Tomorrow movie. And then,
I've seen Hulk versus
Avengers
Wolverine and Hulk versus Thor. That's all I've seen of them.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Okay, I'll have to.
I
check it
mean,
out.
when you see Wolverine fighting Hulk, and it's like, oh shit! Even Deadpool's in that movie.
Shit's going down.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
he
okay.
is. Yeah, I think I did see that, and then I saw the Planet Hulk one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
There's also one where Hulk is trying to lift Thor's hammer, and he actually does manage to actually lift it, but he can't do anything with it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
she
also
kept
saw
on
like
tapping
the
into his
Doctor
leg.
Strange Lionsgate movie. So.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the movie. So
Yep.
Loki gets stabbed. We all think he's finally biting it, and we get the
Didn't like Malekith like stab Loki like through the sword he stabbed him with?
No, it was the curse, or curse, not Malekith.
Oh, I keep mixing them up.
Yes, it's okay.
They're like
So,
Siamese twins to me. Like, yeah, curse. Like that was brutal, to be honest.
Yeah, and then he's like, "I'll see you in hell, monster," and then he freaking drops a singularity grenade on his belt, and he gets sucked into it.
Honestly, the singularity grenades look very painful.
Well, yeah, they're folding your body into a black hole.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they look very painful.
What a
Well,
heck of a way to take him out, though, because he was kind of like, we're like, man,
invincible.
This guy, yeah, you're like, man, Thor can't like fight this guy and then try to take Malekith out. He's like, his
I mean,
bodyguard.
he literally punches this huge boulder, lifts it, hawks it, and Thor's like, "Oh fuck!"
Right,
Yeah, like
and the
gods
fact that he
can't-
just. Go ahead.
Oh, well, gods can't defeat him, but his own grenade can.
Yep, there
Right,
you go.
right.
And then Loki goes all gray and veiny when he dies. And then you see this massive tornado in Svartalheim, and it's like, boy, you guys might want to get running because that thing doesn't look healthy. And then they end up getting a call from Earth from her date, Ian, or whatever his name was. And
The guy from the IT crowd.
yeah, the guy from the IT crowd. And it's like, huh. So she's like, and I love Thor. She's like, follow me. Why are there so many shoes in here? We find out this is where all the shit was going from the warehouse. So who's Richard? Really? I mean, the looks on Thor's face when she's talking to Richard says it all. It's like, you were moving on without me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like, you were gone for 2 years. What did you expect her to do?
It's like, I mean, I know I've been gone for 2 years, but I had a good reason. I thought you understood.
But also 2 years to him when he lives for like 10,000 years
I know, it's probably
is like a
yesterday.
blink of an eye. And she's like, all right, should I wait around forever for this guy? Like, what do I do?
All right. But yeah, so skipping ahead to the main event, the battle in London. What'd y'all think of that? The smashing through different portals, especially the Hitchcock scene with Darcy, Selvig, and Ian, where the Starlings just come right underneath them after going through another portal.
It was very amusing, I must admit. Just watching everything like flick in and out of existence and then like it reappear. Like I was just kind of having fun watching it.
It definitely was very fun. I remember there being, like, I saw this in theaters, and I remember the crowd laughing when he like throws Mjolnir, and it's like on the side of the Shard building in London, and it's just going in the wrong direction, or it's like, you know, it goes out to Svartalheim, and he's trying to like still call it, and it's like coming to him, but it's like in a different, you know,
plane of existence.
Right.
Yeah, because it goes through the portal, and then it goes up because he's not here. Fuck.
Right, yeah, it like changes direction.
He's back on Earth, and he's calling it, and freaking Mjolnir's like, oh shit, he's back on it. Now he's gone again.
Your GPS is messed up.
It's like, freaking Mjolnir's like, make up your mind, motherfucker.
It was entertaining and actiony. Yeah, it was fun. Like, it was a fun fight scene. You know, I think the movie did a really good job of being like dark and sad in places that it needed to be, and then having like lighthearted moments. This fight scene was definitely like, you know, and you get that scene where he like gets transported, and all of a sudden he's in a train station, and he's like, I need to get to Greenwich, and the lady's like, on this train 2 stops down, you know, and it's just fun, like the little back and forth. It was well paced. I enjoyed it.
Mjolnir, your destination is in another realm.
Right.
I mean, the way that he's just blasting out into space, and then he's just turning around, and then because Mjolnir figures, oh fuck, he'll come back another. He's circling around London essentially, because that's when they see it. It's like, Ian, Selvig, Darcy, Jane, Mjolnir, because he's trying to figure out where the fuck. He's like, Mjolnir's like, where the fuck is Thor? I mean, I swear to God, if I could ever add an audio edit of me voicing Mjolnir, I would. And it'd be like, oh, okay, oh shit, I'm coming, buddy, I'm coming. Oh, well, make up your fucking mind, asshole.
You know what I would add? I would do like the Homer Simpson GPS for Mjolnir, and then over top of it is like it's just like inaudible screaming. it's like and you are a genius.
So then I also like the scene where they're on that. I don't know how else to describe this building. I'm sorry, folks. A very phallic looking one. What's it called?
I think it's called the Shard. Hold on. Nope, is it?
The bigger Shard.
Spiral building in London.
No, the Shard is a different skyscraper, because the other one's like curved.
The Gherkin, they call it.
Okay.
The Gherkin, otherwise known as the 30-story Mary Axe.
Oh.
You know what I would call it?
Butt plug?
No, I'd call it the dildo building. Or the vibrator.
It definitely kind of looks like a cross between a
It
butt
looks
plug
like
and a
a
vibrator.
freaking sex toy. Let's just say that. It looks
It
like
does.
a sex toy in the middle of London.
Hmm.
Whoever designed that building should
It sucks.
fucking be put in prison.
Although the view, if you look at the restaurant bar and grill at the top,
Yeah,
it kind of looks
I
nice.
hear it. Yeah,
That's-
is. It
that's
gives a
not-
good view. A view of Thor and some weird freaking elf just falling off the building.
Right, and Mjolnir like doesn't know where to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're having lunch and you're like,
And I
wait a
love
minute.
it. The sound effects. You have that. It's like, and I'm like, these are legitimate sound effects that you guys are doing. It's fucking hilarious.
I thought it was funny when they're at the library or whatnot, or at the
Yeah.
university, and all the
Guys,
people
get
are like
away from
taking
the
videos.
windows.
Yeah, and they're like, Lee, get away from the windows, and he's like, Thor's
yeah,
out there
Thor,
like
he's
swinging his
waving his
hammer and
hammer.
everything. Yeah,
And then, it's like, told you to get the fuck away from the windows.
yeah.
Also, you want to know how they cleaned all this up, folks, after that battle? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Was where, or they continue. They do Civil, or they do the Winter Soldier and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they also do the Aftermath of Thor: The Dark World in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah. They
They're
were trying to
basically like
connect
the
it with the
janitors.
MCU. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not
I
like,
mean-
Tony Stark, where he can be like, all right, let me pay to rebuild this building. Like, he's a freaking space god. Like,
Yeah, it's like, dude, you fucked up half of London. How the hell am I going to pay for that? Fuck you.
saved your
Pay
life.
for
You're
it
welcome.
or fucking pawn off one of the Infinity Stones. I'm pretty sure you still have the Tesseract.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Funny thing is there. Oh my God, MJ1 Media. There's a Lord of the Rings MCU crossover fanfic series. The first one had Cat, Thor, and Hulk go to Middle Earth for 3 stories. A sequel had them return for a new threat. Malekith survived the convergence and appeared in Middle Earth. I won't spoil any more if you don't want to right now.
Huh. Interesting.
That's fucking interesting. That is interesting. I'll have to check that out sometime. So, I do like the fight, though, because they're smacking each other down. They're beating on each other. And then they're separated because of the convergence. And it's like, how do I get the Greenwich? This train 3 stops. And the woman is definitely... I could have sworn that was you, Kate, for a moment, because it does kind of look like you a little bit.
I would fall on Thor in a train any day.
I
There you
mean,
go.
hey, Chris Hemsworth, I'm okay being stuck to him in a train.
Oh, he
Look,
didn't have a
2
problem
hours.
with it either. I mean, he was smiling about it.
He
And
was,
then-
yeah. He wasn't complaining.
Yeah, he wasn't. First one is called Avengers of the Ring. Nice.
Nice
Is the
title.
second one called The Ring Avengers?
Or the return of the
The-
Cap.
The Return of the Ring.
Or
The
Return
return
of
of the Return of the Avengers.
yeah, there you go.
The Desolation of Avengers.
Return
Just
of the
make it-
Avengers. Return of the
Okay,
Avengers.
hey.
There we
There we
go.
go.
I got it.
You got it. Good on you.
It's like, oh, Lord of the Rings parody titles. Just replace a word with Avengers.
Yeah, there you go, Riot.
Huh. This is a new feeling. Pride in someone else.
That's my go-to when Riot gets something right.
Yay.
But yeah. Back to comments. If you like, I'll link the author. Definitely send it to me in YouTube, or not YouTube, but Twitter. If you can, MJ. Because for some reason, when I go to watch these streams again to see if anything happened, they don't show the replay.
Yeah, the live chat's been buggy recently, and I think it must have something to do with like changing the live chat placement.
Yeah, that plus they're constantly updating YouTube.
Yeah.
So We then see that Malekith starts using the ether to jack up the universe, and he ends up growing, becoming Super Malekith. And this is where the special effects really.
He gets blonde, spiky hair. No.
Well, yeah, he goes Super Saiyan essentially, but this is where the digital effects start to really get bad. You start to understand that there are scenes that are pure blue screen,
Yeah.
like the close-ups of Thor looking into the storm, pure blue screen. Then you see this shot of him running towards the storm from a distance, and I'm like, fire that cinematographer. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they were running out of budget after the whole fight in London.
The quality really dipped in the final act. I mean, yes, there was cringe moments all around this film, don't get me wrong. But the final act, it's like, were you guys running out of money?
Yeah.
I feel like I saw it even when they went to Svartal, like when they brought Jane to Svartalheim the first time. I
Yeah,
was like, the lighting is a little off.
it really
Like
is.
the light source was in the wrong spot for a few things. The light, like, the Svartalheim had that red hue lighting, right? And then you could tell that the light on the actors was a white light. It didn't. There were a few moments that were like, oh, come on, guys,
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
it was when Curse was going into the shield room too. I noticed the lighting was a tad off there. Like it kind of looked like, or at least when that back facing shot with him the shield, it looked flat for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, the special effects in this film, folks, were atrocious. Because
yeah, they did not give enough budget, honestly, for this film.
He throws the science tool, I forget what they're called, and he catches it, and then they somehow know when he catches it inside the tornado or inside the
Right.
storm, and it suddenly blinks out his first arm, and then he gets stuck with the second arm, and that blinks out, and then you see that one in Svartalheim land, and it's like, why does that look like a
rubber thing?
Very much.
Rubber prop, yeah.
And then you see him, or the ether's trying to regrow his arms, and that was pretty cool. But it was a nice moment. He basically slays the vampire Malekith with a stake through the heart, and sends him to back to Svartalheim. Then the ship's about to fall on him, so Selvig saves everybody by sending the ship back to Malekith, who's on Svartalheim, and the look on Malekith's face. Oh fuck!
He got what he deserved after freaking sacrificing his own people with ships. I was
Yeah.
like, fitting.
Yeah, it's like, well,
He had to
there
taste
you
his
go,
own
man.
medicine.
Right. It was fitting that he died the exact same way. I liked how they did that.
But also before that, Loki disguises himself as an Einherjar, returning from the dark world, and tells Odin. And it's like, did anybody miss the green magic that they showed just as they were revealing the guard?
Right.
It's like, you thought you could get away with it, but I saw that. I did see that. So I know that that's Loki, motherfucker. So it's like, how did he survive?
Yeah, I was, or better yet, how did he even get off?
Yeah, well, convergence. He knows how to get back and forth. He knows those pathways. So he knows how to get back there.
Well, at least for the convergence stuff,
But even before that, in Thor 1, he sent 3 Jotuns into Asgard. He knows the hidden paths. So he knows how to get back in there.
Yeah, also I do wonder, at that point where it was okay, how did he make an illusion and then survive, faking his own death, basically?
Well, you also get a
the
line from Infinity War. No resurrections this time. I'm
Right.
guessing his servitude to Thanos was still ongoing.
Hmm.
I
It
think
just seems kind of cheap because the MCU has done this quite often, where they're like, "Oh, this character's dead." Just kidding, we brought him back.
yeah, like Agent Coulson or something. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like
They
it
really
really
shouldn't have that.
confused me in this movie. I'm like, how the fudge?
Well, and
Yeah.
then like when spoilers when Loki finally does die, it doesn't have as much of an impact because
Like,
we've
okay,
seen
where is
him
he now?
die
Yeah.
like 3 other times. It's like, oh, come on, guys.
It's like, okay, is that little thing in the background him with his horns? Which was debunked.
Right.
Yeah.
But
And then he came back through time travel stuff, and it's like, oh my
yeah,
god.
and that it was just fucking weird.
Yeah.
So we then get everything's safe on Earth, and he's talking with Odin, or so who we think is Odin. Or I thought it was Odin, right up to the point where he says it belongs to you if you're worthy of it. And also his reactions to when Thor refers to Loki. Because when he says Loki died with honor, well, this is Odin. He looks, he's like, oh, I did I? Son of a bitch. Thank you, Thor. Didn't know. But we then get the reveal that Odin is not on that seat or is not on that throne. That's Loki. No, thank you. And it's like, where's Odin?
Yeah. I was just very bewildered and confused at the end of the movie. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I know. It's like
It's like did Loki kill Odin or something?
I know, right?
I'm lost here. I'm
Right,
a little
yeah.
lost here. Wait.
And how did Loki overpower Odin? It's Odin.
Well, remember, Odin was weakened from his engagement.
True.
So,
Yeah.
I guess like you said,
I guess that
Odin
was
sleep
Not to
or something.
mention, he also uses a lot of magic because in Ragnarok, he does say that or took me quite a bit to break free from your spell. Frigga would be proud.
Well, yeah, it's so, like okay,
He
like
caught him
I
off
feel
guard.
like in Ragnarok, like it's just like that big of a jump. It's like at the end of like they don't explain it, and then it's left to Ragnarok, and it's like you're left feeling confused, like very
Yeah.
confused.
If we had the same writers for Thor Dark World for like Thor 3, if they went with the Ragnarok, I think they probably would have done a better job tying up those loose ends.
Yeah.
But since it was given over to like a completely new
Condemned
direction,
retirement home.
then they just needed a quick, easy way. Okay, how can we shoehorn Odin into this movie real quick and then introduce our villain?
Yeah, it's just really weird in that regard with like the Thor movies.
Yep.
I think the poor Thor, like, because his movies have kind of gone through like a shitstorm. Like I remember when Thor 2 came out and it was kind of like trashed. Like people didn't like it, and I really enjoyed it.
I did too.
I enjoyed it more than the first Thor, and I really enjoyed the first Thor movie. In fact, like Thor's one of like, if not my favorite Avenger. So I was kind of disappointed that his movies kind of got like a trash treatment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when
At least
Thor
like
1
with
and 2,
Love and Thunder, I suppose. But honestly, like I think even with like its faults, like with the Dark World and like Ragnarok, that kind of a thing, at least like were that set of 3 movies, like I think that was probably like the most consistently solid, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Like I think there's something to like about each of them. So
Yeah.
They just go
So-
through like a
then-
major tonal change with like each one, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
yeah, we
so
got
the
more like Edgelord, Thor.
If anything,
and,
they're
like,
the most inconsistent.
Right, which
Yeah,
which is sad because it's like I said, he's just like got an unfair treatment in his movies. Like there wasn't a consistency, Like now people say, like now looking back with like the the fourth Thor movie, people are looking back on the first and second one with kinder eyes. And I remember when it came out, people were like,
Definitely.
I don't like this movie. And I'm like, it's a good, like, what do you mean? It's a good Thor movie. Like, and
Well, yeah, it's weird. I know they're inconsistent, but like that's what I think. Like it's just like the set of like 3 Thor movies where like I'm like, wow, these are like the most consistently solid, yet the tone is all over the place.
right. The tone definitely
The
is all
most
over the place,
consistent, the most consistently solid, in my opinion, is the Captain America trilogy.
but- Ooh,
In my
yeah.
opinion,
I think that's probably in second place for me.
I didn't enjoy the
second
first
place
Captain
would be the
America
Iron Man
movie.
trilogy.
Third place would be Iron Man. I don't have fond eyes towards Iron Man 2. I really don't.
Is that why you skipped it? No, just kidding.
Yes. No, I'm kidding. I did school.
Which,
yeah,
which is
if
weird
I-
because
if I
Iron
was
Man
on that-
3 was, you know.
Yeah, if I was on Iron Man 2, I'd have ripped that thing to shreds.
Yeah.
Oh god, I did not like
So
that.
we then, or so now we have the ending, and we have the post credit and mid credit scenes. We're in phase 2. We get 2 each movie, I'm guessing. So the first one is the Collector's Vault with Tanelier Tavan, and he asks if I may, played brilliantly by Benicio del Toro,
Hmm.
and he's like, may I ask why not keep it in your own vault? The Tesseract is already on Asgard. Dumbass, shut up. It's not wise to keep 2 Infinity Stones so close to each other. Yes, it's very wise. And then you see him with the Aether in his hand. 1 down, 5 to go. It's like, you trusted him with this idiot? Or with this thing?
Yep.
Which they reference in Ragnarok, I think, or
Guardians.
Guardians, where they're like, "Why would you trust this guy with an Infinity Stone?" Like,
I know, right?
okay.
And then
I like the
also,
Collector. He's a very amusing character.
he really
he
is.
is, and I wish we got more time with him in the series, like,
Yeah.
because he was just quirky and fun, and I would like to see more of him. But
Also, we didn't cover the Snow Dog coming into the battle
yeah,
because they ended up on Jotunheim, and then the dog ends up falling with them and shit, and it's like, oh shit, because that's
Oh,
also
you
part
know.
of the end credit scene, which is Thor comes to Earth and kisses Jane, and then you see the Jotun dog chasing after pigeons, and it's like,
did they ever clean that up in Agents of Shield? Like, get this
I
guy
don't
back?
think so.
That dog's just still running amok somewhere.
That
Right,
dog
exactly.
is still running throughout London somewhere.
Or maybe
I'm
he got
guessing,
adopted by
yeah.
a nice old British couple and
Maybe it ran north to Siberia
There you go.
so it could feel warm or feel the cold again. But that's the end of the movie. How would you guys rate this movie?
Ooh.
Out of 10.
Personally, I would rate it like an 8 out of 10, but like movie critic wise, like a 7 out of 10.
Right?
movie critic wise, I'm gonna be a tad harsher here. I'm gonna say 6.5 out of 10.
Scraping by the skin
there-
of its teeth.
Yeah, I honestly like. I think like the dialogue was tighter. Like I really like some of the action scenes and like yeah. I guess it's really just the dialogue really that I like. Like some of the scenes, like I found myself like enjoying this movie a lot more than I did when I first watched it. It's just I think it gets quite a few points taken off because of the way the conflict is written and just narrated. Like it's just kind of like, oh yeah, here's this bad guy. No, he comes in, and then the antagonists are just boring. They really are. Like honestly, I like this movie if you remove the antagonists because I'm just like these guys just are just like boring. I'm sorry. Like sometimes they're scary, but like they did not grab my attention in the same way that like previous MCU villains like prior to this movie did. So yeah. So and then also Odin I felt was inconsistently very harsh in this movie. So I feel like that's an inconsistency. Like I feel like they just like, okay, we need edgier Thor, so we need to make Odin just a little bit more of an asshole. Well, like a lot more of an asshole than he was. So yeah, so that's why I give it like a 6.5 out of 10. So
all right. I mean, I do the 3 tiers, which is objective, subjective, moviegoer. Objective, it's about a 7. There are problems with lighting. There's problems with cinematography. There's problems with dialogue. There's problems with writing. This movie does have its problems. However, it also does have its pluses. It has some good comedy here and there. They kind of went a little overboard with the comedy as compared to the first one, where Kenneth Branagh did that movie masterfully. However, this one was not done masterfully. It was given to a director that I think needs psychological help.
I thought like the comedy was better than Thor 1, to be honest. Like,
well, yeah, the comedy was good, but you got to learn to balance the movie balance a movie, and this one was unbalanced with its comedy. They allowed too much comedy to go through.
This one definitely slipped more into that like new Marvel feel.
Yeah.
Like there's the old Marvel feel where it was like serious, where it's like phase 1.
Yeah.
And then phase 2 definitely brought in more laughs. And then they like just went straight laughs ever since Guardians.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, like I would disagree there. That I think it was actually balanced enough to like I could take it seriously. I could laugh at it. So.
All right. And then subjectively, I'll put this movie at more of an 8. I mean, I won't be as harsh with the scoring of an objective standard. Subjectively, though, it is good. Moviegoer, where it's not based on deconstruction, but rather entertainment value, this movie is a 9 to a 9.5 out of 10. You don't get bored at all. You might check your watch once to see what's going on, but that's about it. This movie does have a high entertainment factor. Phase 1 was independent. Phase 2 onward was Disney. Phase 2, after Iron Man 3, was Disney. Iron Man 3 was still done by Paramount. Believe it or not. MJ1 Media. But yes, Disney started taking over after nice Daughter of Thor Avatar. Nice. Jeez,
well, if I did give a subjective score, I think it would probably be an 8 out of 10. You know, like entertainment factor.
So that's supposed to be the Daughter of Thor as your avatar?
Yes. Yep. Yep. This is Thor and Sif's kid. So from the Heroes of Tomorrow. Nice. Yep. From Heroes of Tomorrow movie. Thank you, MJ1. Very nice.
So that's
nice catch on that, MJ.
Yeah, that's why it's the real Lady Thor.
Well, hey, it works. So yeah, folks, that's going to be the review discussion. Sorry, I had a brain fart.
It's okay. It's getting late.
Yeah, it is. And so next week we got Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Unfortunately, Riot says she will not be here. She's going to be spending time with family. Am I right? Or yep. Well, you have fun with family. Family's important.
Thank you.
We completely understand. You're fired. I'm joking.
Okay.
Kate will be joining us in the future for more MCU films. She's now joining the Hat Crew.
Awesome.
I can. I will be next weekend. I'll be Dallas Fan Expo, so I won't be doing any streaming. I'll be at a con, but going forward, yeah.
How dare you? No, I'm just kidding.
How dare I go do nerdy things? I know.
I know, right? She's a nerd with a cigar, folks. And let me tell you, nobody smokes a cigar quite like her. But anyway, you can find both. Yeah, you can find both of these ladies on Twitter. Right, Kitty. Give a plug to your channel.
Well, I'm Right Kitty, and well, I do writing, art, design, and sometimes AMVs. And yep, you can find me over at my YouTube. But Right Kitty, I am planning on releasing a video this Friday while I am away seeing family. So I hope you guys will check that out once it's uploaded.
All right.
Nice, nice, nice.
And y'all can follow me on here. Tuesday, I have my mystery review. Remember, June is Sword Month for the mystery reviews. And the hints are main characters die as well as embellished history. It's not as obvious as you might think, folks. It could be obvious or it could not. There are several movies that fit that description because the movie after that also embellished history and the main characters die. So make sure you tune in on Twitter for more hints as I drop them because I will be dropping them more and more. And yeah, also next week I will, or Wednesday, look for a review for Cutthroat Island, another movie that my friend Steve Kenobi has suggested for me. And sometime during, I believe, second and third weeks of June, Mara Jade and I will be doing the ones and twos on her channel where we're going to be discussing Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey. So thank you to MJ1 Media,
Good night.
Vanya, and who else?
Ambassador was in here a little bit, and then Christian Freights.
Netcat, Zombie Box Media, Christian Freights,
Got
and Vanya and Skyhound. Thank you all for tuning in. And thank you all for being so generous with your time. And so, yeah, make sure you smash the like button, folks, if you're catching this on the replay. This has been Orange Hat Reviews and Hat Crew. Have a wonderful night, and always remember, stay humble.
Bye.
Good night.